Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Foster Files, a podcast about animal rescue and welfare. My name is Kelly, and every week I talk about issues surrounding animals in this country and to the people who are passionate about making their lives better. This week, I just want to do a brief solo episode. I wanted to talk a little bit about some things that I'm seeing, and specifically about an incident that happened recently in my area. So you can look this up, but on Tuesday, April 21st, and I'm recording this on April 27th, about a week later, um, one of the puppies that was adopted 2 days prior to Tuesday, the 21st, was attacked in Verona, Pennsylvania. It was out with the child of the family that adopted the dog, and a neighbor's dog escaped its house and attacked the child and and the puppy was killed pretty much immediately, from what I understand. And again, that puppy had only been joined into the family for about 48 hours before this horrible thing happened. The child was treated and released from the hospital, so luckily his physical injuries were pretty superficial, though I'm sure he's going to have a lot of trauma for a really long time after this incident. And I just wanted to kind of talk about that incident and then talk about some other things that I'm seeing and give my perspective for whatever that's worth. I see a lot of people and a lot of videos online. Like, I'm in an Instagram algorithm where I see a lot of like security video with dogs or people's perspective when they're out walking their dogs. It's just, I get a lot of dog content, as you can imagine. And you guys have probably seen these videos too. But it's a lot of videos where people don't have any physical control over their animal, and then an incident happens. So maybe the animal is not behind a fence when a delivery driver arrives. Or maybe they're out on a walk and the animal is not on leash. Or like in this case, this dog that attacked the puppy, that was the cross your paws puppy, had actually had a previous incident where it had attacked another dog. And I just want to remind everyone, whether you're fostering, whether you're considering adopting, or whether you have a pet in your home right now, I just think that this is a really good time to remind people that you should be acting as the caretaker of that companion animal. You should be acting and behaving for the dog that you have, not for the dog that you wish you had. And what I mean by that is that I think sometimes as pet parents, we can be very hopeful and very wishful, and we can also be projecting how our animal behaves with us and our family and its known people. And we can assume that, or want, or hope that that animal is going to behave that same way with different people and different animals. When in reality, oftentimes we have indicators that that's not going to be the case. And yet, for some reason, people ignore those indicators and they think, well, yeah, sometimes they're a little funny about toys, but I'm sure it will be fine. Or, yeah, sometimes they're funny about food, but you know what? It's going to be fine. I can just yell at them if they, growl at me for going near the food or growl at my family member for going near the food. Or, this dog is great with all of our other mailman, so I'm sure that if it's outside and unrestrained when a delivery driver arrives, I'm sure it's going to be fine with the new mailman or the new delivery driver. Um, and I just think that for whatever reason, people are really comfortable with putting themselves in a massive risk situation from like a liability perspective, but they're also really comfortable with putting their dogs at risk because not only, if your dog does react in a way that is not good, even if that dog is friendly and approaching another person or approaching another dog, that other, maybe leashed animal or that delivery driver could get scared and react and now harm your dog. Or your situation could turn out the way that the situation in Verona turned out. And now your dog is being put down. So as a result of the situation on the 21st of April, two dogs lost their lives. And ultimately, why are people comfortable taking that risk? We have, and I've talked about him on the podcast several times, we have Max, who's a long term foster, who we know is reactive on leash. We know can have really intense feelings and be very wary of new people. And so, as much as I know that he is at his heart a very friendly dog and a very sweet dog, I'm not naive enough to just assume that because he's been with me the better part of a year and because he trusts me, that he's not going to potentially have an incident with a new dog or a new person. Like, we just welcomed a foster puppy into the house. He's going to be leaving this Thursday, hopefully, for his new home. And we monitor their play constantly. They get along incredibly well, and I can have been posting videos of it. And they're great, but things can change in an instant. And not just Max, but Cheese, our resident dog. Sometimes she can be really moody. And why would I take the risk by just leaving them unattended and potentially have an incident where Boone is injured, Max is injured, Cheese is injured, one of them dies? I just don't understand. One of the other things that I've had feedback on before, because when we take Max to the vet, if we have to take him to the vet, we tell the vet that we're going to have him muzzled for his exam. Again, he's never been anything other than friendly with any vet, but we muzzle him because, again, we know that he has shown signs of reactivity. He's not the first dog that we've had muzzled at the vet. Our American Eskimo, that passed away 2 years ago, we used to muzzle her. She was reactive when it came to pain, which of course is understandable, but still, I didn't want anyone getting bitten. And then we also had a Plot Hound pit bull mix named Wilson, who also was in a lot of pain near the end of his life and would kind of be reactive. And he was slow as molasses and probably physically couldn't get to the vet, but still, like, it wasn't worth the risk. We muzzled him as well. And I can't even tell you how many times we've told a vet about muzzling an animal and they thank us for telling them. And then they always inevitably follow it up with saying, "Oh, you wouldn't believe how many people know that their dog can be reactive and don't tell us. And so we don't have an opportunity to muzzle them." And I don't know. I guess I wanted to remind anyone who's willing to listen, or anyone who is willing to try out behaviors, just meet your dog where they are. Behave for the dog that you have, not for the dog that you wish you had. And certainly you have to work to get your dog to a point where maybe it's not reactive with other dogs, or maybe it's not reactive with people. I'm not advocating for you to avoid any behavior that could potentially show you whether or not your dog's improving or helping you work towards improving your dog. We put Max around triggers. We take him on walks. We introduce him to new people. Again, I have a new foster in the house. We're introducing him to new dogs, but we always do it within our full and total control. So that's what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for safety. My sister-in-law was in town over the weekend and she met Max and he ended up being off leash near her, but he was muzzled. And he was muzzled when he first met her and on leash. And then eventually we dropped the leash and let the muzzle on. And then eventually he calmed down and was so disinterested in her that we actually took both off. We took the muzzle off, we took the leash off. Now, to be clear, she was not freely just moving around the house. We were kind of just hanging around at our dining room table. And then when she did need to get up and get about, we did also then control him again, because again, this was a new scenario, a new person. We didn't want him to react to her standing up. And so we were just very careful about it. And I sometimes worry that our precautionary measures are taken as a sign that he's definitely going to do something negative, that he's definitely going to react, or he's definitely going to bite. Meanwhile, he's never bitten anyone. And I worry that other people don't take those precautionary measures because they don't want people to get the wrong impression of their dog. When in reality, if you already know that there's a potential for some of these behavior reactions and you're not taking precautionary measures, you're putting your financial well-being at risk. You're putting your dog's literal life at risk. You're putting another person or another dog at risk, all for this sake of saving face. And I don't quite understand it. So, this is a really short episode this week. I have a lot more content coming up in the next couple of weeks. I have a lot more interviews coming up that I'm really excited about. And you can actually learn about all of the content that I have coming up in the month of May. You can hear all about the content that I have coming up in the month of May because I am launching a monthly newsletter. So, the link to get on the email list for the newsletter is going to be in the show notes. You can also subscribe to the newsletter through my Instagram. I will have the link in my bio, and you literally all you have to do is submit your email and you will get the monthly newsletter. I won't be spamming you. I promise it's going to be once a month, unless I absolutely have something urgent to send out, which at this point I can't imagine what that would be. But it's going to be talking about what we talked about in any previous episodes that I found to be super notable. It's also going to be talking about what's coming up in the month. I'm going to do it the first of each month. And I just wanted to have an opportunity to kind of tell you guys what to expect as the podcast moves forward. So if you're interested, you can sign up for the newsletter. Like I said, you can click on the link in the show notes. You can go to the link in my Instagram bio at the Foster Files podcast. And you can also click on my Linktree link and then you can subscribe to the newsletter that way. So hopefully I make it really easy to find. I'm very new to all of this, so I appreciate any feedback that anyone wants to give me. But lots more content to come. And just remember, as you move forward, to be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Have a great day.